So I want to talk about this really fascinating zine I came across called the Lisbon Photowalk. And right away, you realize this is not your typical city guide, you know? It's not about snapping the perfect postcard shot of a famous landmark. It's about a walk that's really a meditation on the act of seeing itself, a practice of attention in a world that's always asking us to look, but, rarely to truly see.
And the whole experience just kicks off with this really provocative question. What if the goal wasn't to collect a bunch of images for your Instagram feed, but to fundamentally change how you experience the world around you? It just immediately flips the script on what most of us think photography is even for.
This is the core theme, the guiding principle of the entire walk. The whole point isn't to go find the most picturesque scene, but to discover the city's unguarded moments. The life that happens in between the big grand gestures. It's a search for what's truly there, what's truly present.
Okay, so that's the big idea, but how do you actually do it? Well, the guide, a guy named Miguel, he introduces a series of rules. But these aren't rules about, aperture or shutter speed. They're lessons in constraint, and they're specifically designed to force a whole new way of seeing.
The walk is basically built around a few key exercises, and each one is its own unique challenge. There's a rule about not moving, an unexpected encounter at a little pastry shop, and a pretty radical instruction at one of Lisbon's most famous viewpoints. So, first up, the 5-minute rule.
The first rule sounds simple, but it is so powerful. For 5 whole minutes, you cannot move your feet. You have to find one photograph from right where you're standing. And this physical limitation, it forces you to look so much deeper. Suddenly, a plastic chair, a crack in the pavement, the shadow from a laundry line, all these little details become potential subjects. They become the entire world.
So the walk continues, and the group arrives at this small local pasteleria, a pastry shop. And the door is just beautiful. It's old, layered with paint, perfectly worn. And someone in the group, almost instinctively, takes a picture. And that's when the whole mood just shifts.
The shop owner appears in the doorway. He isn't angry, not at all, but he's firm. And he just says, "No, not this." And you realize he's not just refusing a photo of his shop, he's refusing to let his space, his life, be turned into a thing to be captured and taken away.
In this moment, it just brilliantly illustrates the central tension here. From a tourist perspective, this is a perfect, authentic photo op. But for someone on this walk, it becomes a lesson in boundaries. That moment isn't just there for the taking, it's a space that requires respect, not just documentation.
So this idea of respect, it keeps building as the group climbs up to the Mirador da Graça. This is a famous overlook with a breathtaking view of the city. It's the kind of place people go specifically to photograph. And that's where Miguel introduces his most radical rule yet.
So just as everyone raises their cameras to get that epic panorama, Miguel says, "Put them down. No photographs. Not here." And the reaction, as you can imagine, is just total confusion. This is the shot they came for, right? The reward for the climb.
One of the participants actually protests, saying, "That's the view, and you're saying we can't take it?" And Miguel's response is just so profound. He says, "I'm saying you can't keep it." And that just reframes the entire act. The view isn't a possession to capture. It's an experience to be had right here, right now.
Miguel calls this concept consent. It's this idea that a place, a moment, a view, it doesn't owe you a photograph. It doesn't exist just so you can take it. By lowering their cameras, the group is forced to simply be present with the view, to let it offer itself without any expectation. So you have to wonder, where does this really principled, kind of radical approach come from? Well, it turns out Miguel's philosophy was born from a crisis, and it all centered around a single photograph that changed everything for him. So years earlier, Miguel took this technically perfect, award-winning photo of a woman in her window. It was celebrated everywhere. But then, the woman was identified and the whole illusion of intimacy just collapsed. He realized he'd reduced a real person's life to a visual story, all without her consent. That experience made him withdraw the image and completely reinvent his practice, which is what led to this whole philosophy of walking without, that compulsion to capture.
Okay, so what happens when a photo walk isn't about the photos? What are the results? Well, they're just as unconventional as the rules themselves.
Instead of a gallery of stunning images, the walk generates something else entirely. An ambiguous photo of the river, taken by someone anonymous on the walk, starts circulating, sparking conversation precisely because it's so unfinished.
Miguel writes an essay called "I'm Not Taking the Photograph." He even holds an exhibition, with one wall left completely empty. And yeah, he gets criticism. People call it pretentious. But he also gets praise from people who felt like he gave them permission to just be.
And this piece of feedback from one of the participants, I think it just captures the feeling perfectly. In a world that is so obsessed with documenting every single moment, the act of not taking something, of letting a moment exist without needing proof, it felt like a profound relief.
So this brings us right to the core of it all. What is the true purpose here? What remains when we just learn to really look?
It's about witnessing moments like this one. The city is patient. It's not performing for a camera, it just keeps offering itself in all its unguarded, chaotic, and beautiful reality. This is the kind of thing you get to see when you're not so busy trying to frame the perfect shot.
Ultimately, the camera doesn't have to be this extractive tool, something we use to take from the world. It can be a tool for attention. It can be a reason to slow down and become more present in the world that's right in front of us.
This quote from the zine just perfectly captures the paradox at the very heart of the photo walk. By letting go of that desire to capture and possess every beautiful thing, Miguel and the people on his walk, they ended up seeing and noticing so much more.
And that really leaves us with a final question to think about. The next time you lift your camera, whether it's a big DSLR or just your phone, what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to document a moment? Or are you maybe just using it as an excuse to truly be present within it?